Hello, and happy Wednesday, everybody. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Lindsey Hall, and I'm a divorce and intimacy coach. And every week, I come on and I do these tea break chats where I talk about what's been going on in the last week or so, whatever's been happening in my life, kind of a week in the life of. So I share challenges, I share, oh, hello, beautiful. I share the lessons I've been learning. I just share in real time all the things, and then I answer your questions. However, I have been doing these now for just shy of 2 years. In fact, a week shy of 2 years. I really should just do one more. But this is going to be the last one for now. So after 2 years of doing these, and I've done them pretty much every week, so this is my 90th episode. So you can tell there's a few breaks in there, mostly over school holidays. But it's just time to take a little pause. And really, and the fact that I'm going to take this pause is reflective of basically everything that I talk about in here, which is learning how to listen to yourself and how to trust yourself and how to trust when things change and how to trust that everything is working out for you and all of these things. And it's just been playing in my mind recently that this isn't feeling like the right thing anymore. And it's been so beautiful doing these tea break chats. I have loved them so much. And I've loved that they've given me the structure and that I show up week in, week out, pretty much without fail. There's only been a very, very small number that I've canceled at the moment. Usually it's because school holidays are coming. And I've loved that, which means that I have shown up in all of my emotions. I've done some in bed, I've done some from the garden, I've done some from my car, from the office, from a friend's house, from my sister's cottage when we were on holiday. I've done some where I've been so happy and excited about all the things. And then I've done others where I'm I just broke up with somebody and my heart hurts and it's really awful and I just don't wanna. I've done some where it's man, I just really don't feel good and I just am gonna cruise through this as fast as I can. Some where it's been the first day of my period and my head is just whoosh in the clouds. And I don't know, I've just talked for 20 minutes and not a single word of it might have made any sense because I've just been rabbiting on about who knows what. And I've done others where I'm you know what? I got things to tell you and I'm going to tell you this, that, and the other. And it's going to be really logical and really amazing. And I've done all of those versions and it's been really great because all of those versions are me and all of those versions are part of life. And so that's been really, really cool. And going back and just looking at kind of the trajectory of my life over this time, and really a huge part of what I have wanted to do with these tea break chats and the feedback that I have gotten from you guys listening has been that this realness is what's needed here. And it's what I wanted to bring to you. It's what I appreciate in the people that I listen to, in the podcast I listen to, is that realness and that authenticity. And I could come in here with tips, tricks and stuff every time and be super just kind of I was gonna say super professional about it. But also what I wanted to bring was that real lifeness, because things aren't always super awesome. I am not a machine. I am not a robot. All of these mood swings and ups and downs and man, I feel so overwhelmed and this is how I handled it. And the oh my gosh, this is I'm just so excited by this and I can't believe it. And the just all of the bits of it, all of that is real. And we don't often see all of that on the internet. And that's not to say that I've shared every last bit of my soul with you, because I haven't, because I still have a private life and I still have internal workings and feelings that the internet isn't privy to. But there's so much of that we don't see at all on the internet. And I think that that's a shame, because we are all people here and we want to work with people and we want to know that we are surrounded by people and connected to people. And when I first read Brene Brown's book, Daring Greatly, I think is the first one of hers that I read 4 years ago now, I think. And her work is all about the power of vulnerability and connection. And it just blew my mind. And I knew that as soon as I read that book, I was like, wow, this is going to change how I show up in the world, basically. And it has. Because I really, truly believe that there is so much power of connection in vulnerability. And she talks about vulnerability does not mean sharing your dirty laundry with everybody the second that you meet them. That's not vulnerability, actually. That's just oversharing and can actually be really off-putting and harm connection. But that trust that is gained through vulnerability, through putting yourself out there, even though you don't know the outcome, even though you don't know what's going to happen as a result of it, but you know that putting your true self out there makes a big difference, and it gives people a chance to connect to you and to you to connect to them, and it allows them permission to be vulnerable too. Beautiful, beautiful things come from it. And so that's what I've been practicing in like working on that, being open to vulnerability over the years. And that's what I've tried to bring here too. And in looking back at the last 2 years, I put all of the summaries. So every time I do a tea break chat, I summarize like kind of the key points of what I talked about that day. And I sat and put all of them, all 89 previous summaries into ChatGPT. And I asked it to tell me, like, what are the key topics that I've talked about? What's come up the most when you look back at all of these episodes? And it absolutely is not surprising. So even though every week I come on unscripted, unplanned, and I'm like, here's what's been going on in the week, and I answer your questions, the top 5 that it showed me are absolutely not surprising at all, and very much confirm that the type of work that I am doing is spot on for me. Because the number one thing I talked about, apparently, over the last 2 years is personal growth and reflecting on life. Number 2, relationship dynamics, which includes the ChatGPT clumped relationship dynamics in with dating, divorce, co-parenting, heartbreak, loneliness, all of those things that come around with that. And yeah, I sure have spent a lot of time talking about relationship dynamics because there's been a lot of it. Number 3 is well-being and like coping with life. And yeah, that's because that's a huge part. This underlines all of the work that we do in this, like when you're in this world of inner work, well-being and coping and handling life and all of that, massive. The 4th thing I talked about the most is work-life balance and career transitions. So I left my corporate job about 1.5 years ago now. And so I talked about that loads in the lead up to it. I talked about how that transition was looking after I left, the transition to working full-time for myself. And then, where are we at? About 2 or 3 months ago now, I started doing some corporate accounting work again on a contract basis. And so I've talked about that too, and what going back into the corporate world has looked like for me. So there's been a lot of chat about that. And then the 5th thing that I talked about the 5th most talked about topic is parenting and co-parenting. And obviously, I am a parent who co-parents. I have 2 little girls who are currently 4 and 7. I co-parent 50-50 with them. And so there's been a lot of talk about what that has meant, how that affects us, all of that. So like, it just, looking at that, it really, really, I was like, wow, this niche of mine, this divorce and intimacy coach, where what I talk about, in fact, now it's going to be backwards probably on the video, but I've got this snazzy new roller banner here because I'm going to my first in-person expo this weekend. And so on my banner, it says that I coach clients through divorce, dating, and co-parenting. Hey, those are the things I talked about most. With pleasure, power, and joy, because that underpins all of the work that I do. And so, those being my areas of niche, divorce, dating, and co-parenting, with pleasure, power, and joy, all of that, that is not new by any means. As you can tell from my tea break chats over the last 2 years, I talk about this stuff a lot. And it's been really cool and really fun to be sharing that in real time over all this time. And I really, like I said, I really hope that it's given you that sort of permission to be that real and authentic as well. But all of that said, and as wonderful as it's been, and it's really, like I said, it's helped me show up authentically. It's really helped give me a place to share my thoughts and all that. But things are shifting now. So like I said, about 2 or 3 months ago, I went back to the world of accounting just part-time, but on a contract basis. So I'm doing that on 2.5 days a week, and then doing my coaching business the rest of the time. My personal relationship is very much changing and shifting. My kids just continue to change, and my business is really moving differently now than it did before as well. So I reached this point where I was like, okay, this, as it currently stands, it needs to change. And so I've been doing a lot more, like the fact that I have this snazzy new banner, and I'm going to an in-person event, and I'm going to be at this, it's a family business growth summit, and it's all for business owners who believe in the importance of relationships underlying their business growth and success. I've been doing a lot more in-person networking and networking with people who are in the divorce and relationship fields, really trying to sort of just reach my audience in a different way, I guess. So the first 2 years of my business, everything has been online. Everything was just like shouting into the internet, hoping the right people heard me. And some of the right people have heard me, and there's a whole bunch of other people who need my work who haven't heard me. And so I'm just trying to do things a little bit differently now. And it doesn't mean that the work that I do is changing. It doesn't mean that how I do the work is changing. Not at all. All of these things that I just talked about remain consistent. The personal growth, the relationship dynamics, the well-being, your work-life balance, your parenting, all of those are still the things that are massively important to me and underline run through all of my work, through my client work, through my own personal work. But it's just time to do it a little bit differently in terms of my marketing, in terms of how I spend my time. And it felt like I was starting to just feel like these tea break chats aren't fitting in to this current phase of my life. Now, does that mean that they're going to be done and over with forever? Who knows? I'm not committing to that. I am absolutely not saying that this is my last tea break chat I'll ever do, because never say never. I'm also not committing to, I'm just taking a break for X number of weeks or months and then I'll be back to it, because I also don't know that either. I am really just leaning into, in this phase, this idea of really, and again, something I've talked about loads over all of these episodes, is really leaning into trusting yourself and listening to what feels right and knowing that it can change. I used to, past versions of me, used to get so stuck on every decision and massively overthinking everything. I'm just afraid to make decisions about things because I thought that as soon as I said I wanted something, or that I was going to do something, or that I'd made a decision, that it was like locked in stone forever. So it was like everything felt like this massive deal, because it was like, God, if I say I'm going to do that, I have to, like, it just felt like it was this massive thing always. And now I'm like, no, life changes. That's the only thing that we do know for sure, is that life changes. And so I don't want to do these tea break chats right now because they're not fitting into my life right now. And that's okay. I might want to do them again soon. I might take 2 weeks off and decide I want to do them again. I might decide, actually, I don't want to at all. Or maybe they'll come back in another form. I don't know. That's the cool part about all of this, is that we get to play with it and have fun. And yes, I very much believe in consistency. I very much believe in consistently showing up for my clients and showing up for myself and showing up for potential clients. And I love that I have this bank of free resources that people who want to listen to all the things I got to say, they can go back, and there's, when I'm done with this, there's going to be 90 episodes that people can listen to. And yeah, they might be 2 years old, and that doesn't change like the usefulness of them. Although I might not be currently leaving my job like I talked about in that episode, it still can be exactly what you need to hear at exactly the right time for you. And that is beautiful and amazing. So I love that there's this amazing bank of content that you guys get to go back and binge watch if you want. And I will do something new. I'm sure of it. I just don't know what it is, but there's definitely going to be ways to keep in contact with me. I'm not disappearing from the internet by any means. I'm still going to be posting on Instagram and social media, Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. I almost said and social media. That's the same thing. I'll still be here. Very much still. I'm still doing the coaching business. Like I said, that's the point of this, is to give me space to build my business up in even bigger and better ways. So if you are watching this at any point in the future, at any point, you're like, man, I missed it. You didn't miss it. Absolutely not. I'm still doing all my coaching work. You can message me at any time in any of the ways. And the best thing, like the way that I start pretty much all of this, is jumping on a free call to talk about what your goals are in your divorce, in your relationship, in looking forward to a new relationship. What is it that you want to get out of this? How do you want to feel? How do you want to move forward? So talking about what you want from it, and then talking about what I offer in my coaching. How does my coaching work? What are my current packages? That sort of thing. And then just checking if those align, and if we align with each other, if we vibe. This is deeply, deeply personal work, and not just anybody is going to be the right coach for you. I might not be. You might be like, oh God, you're like nails on a chalkboard to me. And that's okay. I can probably point you to somebody else who might be able to help. Or maybe you're like, you are my person. You're talking directly to me, and you were like, man, we're like on the same wavelength here. And I'll be like, yes, great, let's work together. You've got to be able to vibe with the person that you're working with on something so deeply personal. It doesn't matter who's checking you out at the grocery store, if you like them or not. It's just a transactional thing. But something like your coach, something like a therapist, even like your hairdresser. You have to get along with your hairdresser, don't you? I hate finding a new hairdresser, because it's not just about how they cut my hair. It's about, can I sit in that chair and make small talk for an hour? Or preferably not small talk. Can I sit in your chair and talk about real things for an hour? There's certain people in your life that you've really gotta vibe with. And as important as vibing with your hairdressers, vibing with your coach is even more important. So that's not to say that all of my clients are as bubbly and blah, 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 as I am, by no means. Some are bubblier, some are less bubbly. But it's not about being the same, but it's about being like, can you feel safe with me? Do you feel like you can open up with me? Do you feel like I create this safe environment where you want to spill your guts? Or maybe you don't want to, but you find yourself just pouring the words out. I do get that from people a lot. Even non-coaching clients, I'll just meet people, I'll be with friends, and they're like, wow, I didn't mean to spill all that out. I'm sorry. I just kind of word vomited on you. And I'm like, yeah, it happens a lot. So if you're one of those people, hey, Carrie. So that's what we want to check is, do you feel like you can just let it all out with me? If you get on a call with me and you're like, I actually feel really quite guarded and no, I'm not comfortable here, that's okay. Then we will find somebody else. Or maybe there's a bit where you're like, I feel quite guarded, I don't want it out, but also I do want to. We can work you up to that. But that's the point of the free call, first of all, is to check, do we think that this has a chance of working? So we do that first, and I am the least pressury, salesy person. In fact, to my own detriment, people keep telling me, business coaches are like, dude, Lindsey, you need to sell better. So I'm working on it. I'm working on my sales skills. But as one of them said, I could 10 times my salesiness and still be nowhere near pressury and gross. So please don't worry about me being pressury and gross, because I really trust you to make your own decisions. I do not want you to be coaching with me if you don't want to coach with me. If you feel uncomfortable about spending your money with me, if you're like, man, I have these other things I need to spend the money on and I cannot afford to work with you, don't then. Don't make me the part where you're stretching your finances in a way that feels too uncomfortable and untenuous. Don't do that. I want you to spend your money with me because you feel good spending your money with me, because you trust that you're getting this incredible return on your investment from it, because you think that yes, this is absolutely worth every penny of it, because you are worth every penny of it, without a doubt in my mind. But you still need to actually have the money to spend on it. And I do not want you to feel like you are like, yeah, putting yourself under undue pressure for that. So all of these things mean that like we can get on a call, we can talk real talk, I'm pretty straightforward with things, but let's make sure that it actually is a good fit for you, that together we think we can like work through the things that you want to work through, that we can get you to where you want to go, and that it feels like the right fit financially as well. So all of those things are really important to me. Doesn't mean I'm going to do an audit of your finances, because again, you are absolutely responsible for making your own choices here. If you are comfortable affording it, then I trust you on that. But it means I'm not going to be like, you have to pay me now, like, pay me now for 6 months in advance and you're never going to get out of that contract. And like, if you don't have the money, find a way. That's not going to happen. That was totally a tangent that I hadn't intended to really necessarily go on, but there you go. So all of that is to say, that's how working with me starts. Is send me a message. I will send you a link to, well, we can, chat in the messages, but when you're ready, I'll send you a link where you can book a free call with me. We'll jump on the call. We'll talk about it from there. Is there anything else I need to say before I wrap up this final for now tea break chat? Let me just think. I guess I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me here for all this time. I'm whether you've watched, this is the only one that you've watched, or whether you've watched all 90 episodes or somewhere in between, it just means a lot that you want to hear what I have to say and that you're here spending your time, because time is a pretty precious thing and you have choice in how you spend it. And the fact that you're choosing it to spend it watching this tea break chat is pretty darn cool, and I don't take that for granted. So thank you. And I really, really want to reiterate that feeling of trusting yourself, listening to yourself. You know what's best for you more than anyone else. So, if you want to go back, and like I said, every episode has a description on it. If you want to listen to me talking about personal growth and reflecting on life and relationships like dating and divorce and co-parenting and heartbreak and loneliness and that well-being piece and that work-life balance and career transitions and parenting and co-parenting, all of that, I've got oodles to say about all of it. Go back and listen to it. Send me a message if you want to chat more about it, about any of it. I would, if you're listening to a past episode and you're like, man, this is resonating, send me a message. I so am here for that. Like, absolutely. This is the beauty of a personal business like this is, it doesn't just go into some inbox where somebody, customer service rep is like, thank you for your feedback. We will consider it and pass it along. Nope. It's me. So I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of it. And just to know that it, how it landed, whether it like winds you up and triggers you and you're like, oh, I did not like that. I did not agree. Or you're like, man, it's like you're speaking directly to my soul. Whatever it is, I am so here for it. Unless it's just blatant trolling, not here for the trolling. So you trolls watching this, you can just carry on along. Not here for that part. The rest of you who are like actual humans and have like, real life interaction and connection in mind, then yeah, here for that. Even if it's negative, as long as it's like actual, coming from a good place. If you're just coming attacking me from your own hurt and anger and wounding, then nah, you can find some other outlet for that. That is a you problem, not a me problem. I don't need to carry your attacks. Okay. Gosh, I feel like I just want to keep talking. I don't want it to end, but also, like I said, this is not a definite ending. It's just a bye for now. So thank you so much. And Claire, you're so welcome. And I'm so glad that you've been on live for definitely the most of these, which I'm so grateful for. So with that, I guess I will bid you adieu. And I'll see you around. I'll see you in my DMs. All right. Love you all lots. Mwah.